First, I want to give a call Allah to Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father who the world calls God, and Yahweh Shah is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First, I want to give a strong shalom to all the mighty men that's going out there laboring. Magnify the name of the Lord, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and doing all things that's trying to take away the words of the Lord, the 100-degree weathers, the freezing below codes, and everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Most High. I want to give another strong shalom to all the Ikwath, the unmarried sisters and the married sisters that are reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, tender, delicate, and on fire for the Most High. And last but not least, I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty teenagers and children in this thing as well, doing all they can to make their calling and election sure in the last days. And as you can see as the topic of this video, this is the raw and hidden truth about humility and meekness. Right, I'm going to repeat that again. This is the raw and hidden truth about humility and meekness. Why? Because nobody is talking about humility and meekness, man. I mean, literally. Nobody's talking about how to be humble. Nobody's talking about the meekness that a man is supposed to walk in. Nobody's talking about the humility a woman is supposed to walk in. Everybody is focused on everything else but character. And in this truth, you have to have something called character. Character consists of a lot of things, a plethora of things. Inside character, you have integrity, you have humility, meekness, being innocent, morally upright. So character consists of a lot, man. And that's why it's titled, this is the raw and hidden truth, because not only is the world going to tell you about meekness, but you have a lot of men and women, they're not going to tell you about humility and meekness as well. They're going to give you everything else besides the characteristics that an Israelite man and woman should be walking in the truth. So you have to ask yourself, are you really humble? I mean, just be honest. Don't lie to yourself. You know, a lot of women say, absolutely, I'm humble and meek. Sister, no, you're not. You're prideful. You, as a man of the Lord, you have to ask yourself, are you humble? It's beautiful. We go into prophecy, different breakdowns to the scriptures, the parables, the allegories. But nevertheless, we have to focus on the characteristics of an Israelite man and woman. So you have to ask yourself, are you humble, man? If you have to, go in the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, have your Bible with you and some notepads, and you have to examine yourself and ask, are you humble? Do you have the spirit of meekness on you? Or are you prideful? Do you boast a lot? And people don't know what truly pride is. And pride, man, me speaking as a man, that's the worst demon of all time. Now you have a lot of demons. You have the slothful demon. You have a weed demon. You got the lust demon. You got the lying spirit demon. You just always lying. You got a lot of demons out here. But me speaking as the man, pride has to be at the top of the damn chain. Why? Because people don't know what truly pride is. People think pride is you just beating on your chest and you just, hey, I'm the man in charge. No, that's not always pride. You know, that's not pride all the time. Pride could be something as small as not calling your brother and checking up on him. So, hey, he got to call me if he want to talk to me. That's prideful. The Lord waking you up in the morning and you're not praying. You decided not to pray. You say, yeah, the Lord woke me up, but you know what? I'm not going to pray. That's being prideful. You talking back to your husband, that's being prideful. I mean, so pride, it goes into a lot, man. You're not treating your brother as yourself, that's prideful, man. Nevertheless, this is the raw and hidden truth about humility. Right? Salakia. Alright, let's go. Let's kick it off with the book of First Peter, the 5th chapter. Right? Let's go to the book of First Peter, chapter 5. This is the book of First Peter, chapter 5. Right, this is the book of First Peter, chapter 5, and verse number 5. It says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yet all of you be subject one to another. And this is Peter giving the advice to the strangers that scattered abroad, which are Israelites. You had different Israelites living in Cappadocia, Bithynia, Pontus, and all throughout Asia Minor. Reading on, it says, yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. And be clothed with humility. You have to ask yourself, are you truly clothed with humility? Whatever your name is, it might be Zechariah ben Yahweh. You have to ask yourself, are you clothed with humility? Is every step you're taking, is you walking in the spirit of meekness? As a woman, you have to ask yourself, are you walking in the spirit of delicateness, meekness? Or do you have some type of form of pride on you? And the only thing with pride is you're not able to see if you're prideful or not. All the time, you're not able to see the pride. So somebody might tell you you're prideful. Next thing you know, that spirit of pride just get jacked up even more. Say, no, I'm not prideful. So what you talking about? So watch out. No, brother, you're prideful. Like I said, it's time will fail me to name every single way that you're being prideful. If anything, you would know better than I do. Nevertheless, you have to be clothed with what? Humility. Sometimes you might have to put your head down, man. You're going to be honest. Sometimes you might have to just put your head down. A lot of men, they exalt their chest up. A brother tell you, hey, mighty teaching, like, you brought it out today. A lot of brothers, they say, yeah, you already know, man. I've been studying. Hey, they don't call me the precept king for nothing. Guess what? That brother, he's not going to make it too long. A woman might command you, hey, sister, you do this and that very well. Can you teach me? Girl, you better get that on your own. Or not even just saying stuff. What you think in your head could be prideful. Brother, my sister might approach you and you already got evil thoughts in your head. Your wife say something to you, you like this. And you might have some evil thoughts to your woman. So we have to be clothed in humility. And the best examples of being clothed in humility is all throughout the scriptures. Yahweh Shai, he was humble, man. The Lord wasn't walking around prideful. I'm pretty sure, he's the Son of Man. He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. If he really wanted to, the Lord could walk around here like, hey, I need some grapes right here, right now. Somebody feeding him, somebody, cooking up lamb chops for him. Hey, the Lord could have been very prideful. Just off of his name, his presence, who he is. Nevertheless, the Lord still taught men and women how to move, and he was the Son of Man. Let me finish this out. 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud, man. The Lord resists prideful men. Like I said, every time you're not praying before you go to sleep, you're prideful. Because what you're saying in your head is, yeah, the Lord has made me to endure to the end of the day, but I don't want to thank him. That's what you're saying. Every time you wake up and you don't pray, you're being prideful. Every time you don't read, you're being prideful. Because you're saying, yeah, the Lord woke me up, Yeah, I'm able to blink, eat. But you know what? I don't want to read today. That's prideful, man. Every time you're not treating your significant other as you would treat yourself, you're being prideful. Because half of the time, you wouldn't treat the Lord like that. If Yahweh was on the earth, certain things you would not say to him. But brothers think it's okay to say that to their woman because they don't really know what's going on. They only been 2 weeks into the truth. That is wickedness, man. You have to be clothed with humility. Reading on. For God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble. And the Lord giveth, and you need grace. And if it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here right now. Nobody would be here on this. Nobody would be in the truth if it wasn't for the Lord's grace period. But he gives us more and more grace to the humble. It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God. It didn't say exalt yourself. You got a lot of men, they want to exalt themselves. So, oh, yeah, man. Oh, man, that brother getting 20,000 views on Facebook. Man, I got to be like him. Brother, that's not humbling yourself. Oh, man, that's a mighty man right there. But that's a mighty woman. Her dress is extra long. Man, I got to be like that, sister. That's not humbling yourself, man. Walking with a stretched forth neck. Walking around like nobody could tell you anything. That's not walking in humility. Making fun of people. You got brothers in the truth. They make fun of other brothers. So, oh yeah, that brother, he don't know. Brother, your Bible not hiding. It's the brother first week in the truth. And you getting on him because his whole Bible is not highlighted. Then you damn offend a little one. The Lord is not dealing with prideful men. He's never did and he never will. It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. And the Lord, he's the only one that's doing the humbling, and he's the only one that's doing the exalting. And when the Lord humble you, man, hey, you don't want the Lord to humble you. The Lord will embarrass you. Just so he could humble you because you had a high level of pride. He was sending you signs and wonders, but you just couldn't see it. You was blinded by your pride, so guess what? The Lord had to humble you in the worst way possible. And when the Lord humble you, that might be him breaking your damn leg. You at work, and you work with machineries, and next thing you know, you down walking, you put your hand on the machine, then your arm get caught in, and you down break your arm. Hey, that might be a form of the Lord humbling you. Lord have a bullet just hit your kneecap and it busts open. Lord might have you get into a car accident. I mean, hey, you don't want the Lord to humble you. The Lord might embarrass you in front of pour out what you're really secretly doing in front of the whole congregation. Hey, so, you know, it's better if you humble yourself than the Lord humble you. But sometimes, hey, the Lord has to humble man. Now, let's go to Matthew chapter 11. Right? Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 11th chapter. So you have to ask yourself, are you walking in the spirit of meekness? This is Matthew chapter 11 and 29. It says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. So the Lord said, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Majority of the brothers that you ask in the truth, do you want to be like Yahweh? I guarantee you every last one of those men would say absolutely. Khan. Yeah, Khan. I want to be like the Lord. Khan. No doubt. But that's what the Lord said. He said, learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. So the Lord was meek, man. The Lord, Yahweh, when he came on the scene, he wasn't walking around like a tyrant. Hey, Mary Magdalene, do this for me. I need you to cook this right now. Where's the food at? A lot of men say to their wives, where's the food at? You didn't do this, A, B, and C. Hey, the Lord would never say that to somebody unless he's truly rebuking them. How much more you, man? Some of they women, they getting on their husbands. Their husbands probably only been 2 weeks in the truth, and they been in 8 years, and they just getting on them. Or you might be getting on a brother that's, below you. He's not on the same level as you. Hey, it said the Lord was meek and lowly in heart, man. Like I said, the Lord wasn't walking around telling men, can you fan me? Feed me grapes. No, Yahushua was meek, lowly. He was all about the will of the Father. You have to ask yourself, are you walking around in a meek and a lowly spirit? Because if you're not, then that means you're not a Christian. You're really not a true Christian. Now, people might say, Christian? Oh, man, you're going off. What do you mean, Christian? Paul said in 1 Corinthians 11:1, be ye followers of me, even as I am a follower of Christ. All a Christian means is to be Christ-like. And if you're not being meek and lowly, you're not a true Christian. You're not Christ-like. You're not walking in the paths of Yahushua. You're walking in the paths of the spiritual demon Satan. And the pridefulness. Right? Let's go to the book. Man, let's go to the book of Zephaniah. Right, let's go to the book of Zephaniah. This is the book of Zephaniah. Wait, before I get that, let's go to Exodus. It's like, let's go to, let's go to the book of Numbers. Right, let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12. Right? Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12. Right, it's the book of Numbers, chapter 12, and verse number 3. It says, now the man Moses was very meek above all men which were upon the face of the earth. So it said Moses was the meekest man on the whole face of the earth. Now, that's a lot of men on the earth. You know how many men is on the earth? But it was something about Moses. He just had a meek spirit. What's an example of meekness? Like a sheep, man. A sheep or a lamb is meek. Lamb is not walking around commanding people telling people what to do. It's not walking around like a wolf or a lion. It's docile. It's lowly. It's curious. That's how the Lord commanded us to be in the spirit. Now, so it's a difference between confidence and pride. Right? It's a time to be a sheep and it's a time to be a lion. And when you out there on the highways and byways, you kind of got to be a lion, man. You got to open up your mouth boldly in the words of the Lord. You can't go out there on the highways and byways and you whispering. And you saying, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. The people, they're not going to feel the message. And the Lord, he taught with authority, man. So keeping that in mind, you have to know how to operate and use these certain characteristics. And when I have an on switch and when I have an off switch. Nevertheless, Moses, he was the meekest man upon the face of the earth. And Moses, let's go to Sirach. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 3. So it's a lot that come with meekness. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3. Right. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 3. I'm going to actually get Sirach chapter 7 first. We're going to go back to that. That's Sirach chapter 7 and verse number 17. Sirach 7 and 17. It says, humble thy soul greatly, for the vengeance of the ungodly is fire and worms. So the Lord said, you better humble your soul greatly. Forms of humbling yourself, it's not always just walking with your head down. You can humble yourself through fasting, prayer, abasing yourself, Hey, Paul said, I know how to be abased in Philippians, the 4th chapter, 11th verse. Being content. A lot of men, when they don't have what they want, they start to get prideful. You start to show anger. Anger is actually a form of pride. Because if you had what you wanted, you wouldn't be acting like that. What if things don't go your way? And it goes the way of the Lord. Either way, it's the way of the Most High. So just because things don't go your way, that don't mean you have to act different. You still have to remain the same. You still have to be lowly and humble thy soul greatly. Why? Because a lot of men and women of this world, when you look around, these people are prideful, man. You got certain people, they sticking up the middle fingers to the Most High. We had a woman a long time ago, right? This when I first started teaching. And a woman, she said, F your Bible. She stuck up the middle finger. We had a gay man, he sticked up the middle finger towards us. I mean, so these people, they walking in straight pride. Eve, she walking in her $1,000 Birkin bag. We say, hey, sister, you got to meditate the words of the Lord. She say, no, I'm not dealing with that. Y'all some bums. And she peeled off. So the Lord has to lay low the pride of man. Anytime you're prideful is when you feel like you don't need the Most High. When the Lord created us to serve him. Nevertheless, the Lord said, humble thy soul greatly. Now let's go to Sirach chapter 10. Right? Let's go to the book. I'm going to actually hold that. Let's go to Psalms. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Now it said Moses was the meekest man upon the earth. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 25. Psalms chapter 25 and verse 9. It says, the meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach in his way. See that? So the Lord said the meek will he teach in his way. And every brother that I have spoken to before they came into the truth, they said that it took them for them to be in a lower state for them to actually come into the truth. And that just shows you how high level of pride man has. Because let's say if you got it all, you downtown, got your nice outfit on, your fitted cap on, you with your friends, and you running past the servants of the Lord, and they ask you, hey brother, you got a minute to learn something? 9 times out of 10, majority of the brothers, they gonna keep walking. They don't want to hear that. They're living it up. But it takes for the Lord to bring man so low, and that man doesn't have nothing else but the Lord, for them to bring them into the truth. I know certain brothers, they said they was homeless, but when they came into the truth, it took the Most High for them to the Lord, for the Lord to bring them low, and for them to be homeless, just for them to come into the truth. Took some brothers to get locked up, to get in a car accident, to get shot. So the Lord has to bring man low. But it says, the meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. So the Lord is not teaching prideful men. The Lord, he's literally teaching men that's meek, man. The Lord, he's teaching men that don't know what's, that's not prideful in the spirit. That you got certain men saying, you can't tell me nothing. I know it all. You got them old jakes, they 50 and 45 years old, and they think they know all the experience. See, the Lord not teaching that man. Why? Because he got it in his mind that he knows it all. When you come to serve the Lord, you don't know anything. The Lord is way beyond our time. So it'll be so prideful for you to feel like you know it all and to not humble down and learn. I mean, that would just be straight out prideful. What you been in the truth 2 years? You gotta imagine the years you've been in the truth as the years you've been living. If you've been 2 years in the truth, I mean, you don't know anything. You like a 2-year-old child. And if you've been 10 years in the truth, you still don't know anything. Because you like a 10-year-old kid, man. If you've been 15 years in the truth, you still don't, a 15-year-old teenager, he don't know what's going on. He might know a little bit more than the 2-year-old, but he still got a lot of learning to do. How much more for 20, 30, 40, and 50? So it says the meek will he teach his way. That's why Moses was able to literally receive all the end-up breakdowns, because he was meek, man. Let's go to let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 14th chapter. Right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. This 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, and verse number 1. It says, and it came to pass, upon the 3rd day I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me, and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, here I am, Lord. And I stood upon my feet. Then said he to me in the bush, I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses, and talked with him when my people served in Egypt. So when Moses was in Mount Sinai, the Lord actually showed him certain revelations. You got a lot of people saying Moses was up there for 40 days and 40 nights, and he just received the 10 commandments. That's it. No, Moses received more than the 10 commandments. I mean, how did he know how to build the tabernacle of congregation? When you read Exodus the 20, how did he know that? Because he was showed more than the 10 commandments. Verse 4, and I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him unto the mount of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season, and told him many wondrous things, and shewed him the secrets of the times, and the end, and commanded him, saying, these words shalt thou declare, and these words shalt thou hide. And so Moses, he received the secrets, man. Now, you might say, well, dang. You got certain men say, dang, Moses received the secrets. Hey, Moses knew about the end of the world. Hey, Moses, he got an end-up vision of what happened in the Garden of Eden. He got an end-up vision of Cain. You got to think about this, man. These visions is deep, man. Moses got an end-up vision of how it went down, Cain killing Abel. He's seen it. That's why he was able to write Genesis. A lot of people say, well, who wrote Genesis? Hey, Moses, he wrote Genesis. Now you might say, well, Moses was during the time of Genesis. How did he know what all went down? Hey, the Lord told him wondrous things on Mount Sinai. It says the times and the end. How was Moses able to receive all of that? Because he was meek, man. We just read in Numbers the 12th chapter that he was the meekest man upon the face of the earth. The Lord not giving out secrets to men that's prideful. And you got to think about it. The men that know the Bible and that's teaching the breakdowns, that's going through the prophecies, they have to have some form of humility and meekness within inside them. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get the secrets. The Lord not giving secrets to a prideful man that's not going to share it. Hey, you not sharing this truth, you being prideful, man. Because the Lord freely gave you this knowledge, but you say, hey, I'm not going to share it. It's all to myself. That's prideful, man. Hey, your woman, she's asked you, hey, babe, can you break this down for me? I'm having a hard time. Shut up. You're just saying shut up to her. Say, I'm having a hard time understanding this Revelation 12. Can you break this down to me? You're saying shut up. No. Go watch a video. Brother, that's wicked. Why are you acting like that, brother? But that's the pride of man. And the Lord has to withdraw pride from man. Let's get that in Job. Right? Let's get that in the book of Job. Chapter 30, I believe that's 34. Job chapter 33. Right? This Job chapter 33 and verse number 15. Job 33 and 15. in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed. Then he opened the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction. Right? That he might withdraw man from his purpose. Because the Lord has to seal man's instruction. And he does that by, in a dream, when you're asleep. You know, or sometimes you might be walking around in a room and you just staring off into space. You might just be looking like, hey, that's the Lord sealing your instruction. It says what? And hide pride from man. So the Lord actually has to hide pride from man. Because that pride, that's what destroys a man. I mean, a man's pride is, I mean, that's why I say pride got to be the worst demon of all time, man. Because you don't know when it's on you. Let's go to Proverbs real fast. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. Chapter 29. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse number 23. This Proverbs chapter 29 and 23. It says, a man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. So a man's pride, you know, a man's pride is going to bring him low. The high level of pride that man has, you know, the Lord is going to get up with you. Now you might not see it during the time. You might say, hey, the Lord ain't get up with me yet. The Lord eventually, he's going to get up with you, man. Right? And that's a good precept. I was finna go to that. The brother Foster Ford put Sirach chapter 10 and 13. And it's like when you read Sirach chapter 10 and 12, it says the beginning of pride is when one departed from his maker. Let's actually go to that. Right, that's a good precept. Let's go to Sirach chapter 10. So, I mean, hey, man. Hey, you better check yourself before the Lord checks you. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 10. Right, Sirach chapter 10 and verse number 12. I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, the beginning of pride is when one departed from God. So every time you're prideful, you got to imagine this. You're growing further and further away from your maker. You draw them further away from the Most High, man. And that's and you know, that's scary, man. Every time you're prideful, you're going further and further and further and further away from your maker, your creator. That's scary, man. It says the beginning of pride is when one departeth from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker. So every time you're walking unjustly, every time you're big-headed, every time you think you know it all, every time you're not helping your brother out, every time you're not praying, every time you're not reading, every time you're not studying, every time you're not going on a fast, every time you're breaking your fast, every time you're doing all of these levels of pride, guess what? Your heart is away from the Most High. Your heart is away from your maker, man. Your heart is away from your creator. Imagine that. Your heart, your mind somewhere else. It's not on the law of the Lord. It's not on the Most High. Where's your heart at? Your heart is too busy being in your pride. Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. So when you're prideful, the Lord will bring strange calamities on you. Then people wonder why they just get evicted out of nowhere. People wonder why their bank account is frozen. People wonder why they get into a car accident. People wonder why they get shot. People wonder why their family members just died. People wonder why the Lord take their spirit away from them. Why? Because the Lord is bringing strange calamities upon the prideful. And we bring this out to the people of the world. We bring this out to the so-called white man. Because yes, the so-called white man is very prideful. He has the most, man, what's the words I'm looking for? He has the most magnificent level of pride on this earth. And he has more pride than a so-called Japanese man. The so-called white man has more pride than a so-called African man. He has more pride than anybody on this earth. I mean, just look at what he does. For you to say that Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahweh, looks like a so-called white man. You know how prideful you have to be to say that? And make a picture that looks like that? I mean, that's extremely prideful. For you to say that God is for everybody, when it don't say that in the Bible, you have to just be flat out prideful. So yeah, we bring this out on a so-called white man, but chiefly, you know, this applies to us. Right? Reading on. It says, verse 14, the Lord hath cast down the thrones of proud princes. See that? And you have a lot of proud princes. Right? You had Nebuchadnezzar. And read Daniel the 4th chapter. Nebuchadnezzar was so prideful, the Lord had to give him a damn dream. Have Daniel interpret that dream. And next thing you know, Nebuchadnezzar, he was with the beasts of the field, feeding on the grass, and with the beasts of the field. You had King Xerxes. The Lord had to bring him low. You had the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Zoar. The Lord had to bring these men low. It says, and set up the meek in their stead. Who is the meek? You have Mordecai. Read the book of Esther. You had that wicked Haman, but guess what? The Lord cast him down and set up Mordecai in his stead. Hey, Mordecai was meek, man. You don't really hear too much about Mordecai. But guess what? He rose up. He waxed greater and greater. It said, the Lord hath plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their place. The Lord overthrew the countries of the heathen and destroyed them to the foundations of the earth. He took some of them away and destroyed them, and have made their memorial to cease from the earth. And nobody's really talking about these top empires anymore. No, you think men is talking about Sargon the Great or Sargon the First of the Akkadian Empire? Nobody's talking about the Akkadian Empire no more. So the memorial of some of these proud kings are made to cease. Verse 18. Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them are born of a woman. They that fear the Lord are a sure seed, and they that love him in an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. See that? So guess what? The Lord said pride wasn't made for men. It really wasn't made for men. But guess what? The Lord gave men over to their own fleshly desires and their lust. I want to jump down to verse 28. Hey, Sirach chapter 10 and Sirach chapter 11, man, those are beautiful chapters. But Sirach 10 and 28. My son, glorify thy soul in meekness, and give it honor according to the dignity thereof. Who will justify him that sinneth against his own soul? And who will honor him that dishonoreth his own life? The poor man is honored for his skill, and the rich man is honored for his riches. And on another level, we're the poor. The nation of Israel, we're poor. We're a poor nation. Physically, we're in a lower state, and the rich man is the so-called white man. But the poor man, we have the most skill. We have the most intelligence. The thing is, they won't tell y'all who invented the traffic light. They just say who owns it. A so-called Israelite man invented the traffic light, man, and the stop sign. And these different things that the so-called white man uses in this society. Verse 31, he that is honored in poverty, how much more riches? And he that is dishonorable in riches, how much more pride? It's the point. Verse 11. Sirach 11:1. Wisdom lifteth up the head of him that is low, that is of low decree, and maketh him to sit among great men. Commend not a man for his beauty. I'm gonna jump down to verse 5. Sirach chapter 11 to verse 5. That's beautiful too. But Sirach chapter 11 and 5. It says, many kings have sat down upon the ground. You know what? I'm gonna read verse 2, man. Right? That's the spirit. I'm gonna just read it. This Sirach 11 and 2. Commend not a man for his beauty, neither abhor a man for this outward appearance. Right? You know, you got certain brothers. Oh man, that brother wearing Gucci, Christian Louboutins, Louis Vuitton. Oh man, I know he's a prophet. The Lord said, don't commend a man for his outer appearance. Neither abhor a man. It's like commending not a man for his beauty, neither abhor a man for his outer appearance. They looking down. This man got fringes on. Hey, he don't know what's going on. Or you might be a brother in the truth. This brother don't know no precepts. Come on, wow, you gotta get your precept gang up, bro. Y'all gotta catch up, man. That's evil. You got certain women saying, sister, you don't know how to cook? You're not gonna make it. You don't know how to sew garments like me? Forget about the kingdom. That is off, man. And you got certain women, they see a sister that's less fortunate. She might not have a dress. A sister might not, she might not smell too comely. She might not have deodorant. And it's a real story. And you have sisters just talking about her, man. In the truth. Sisters, they just talking about this sisters. They saying she got holes in her dresses. They beat up. And she don't really got deodorant. And they murmuring about this sister. That is evil, man. You will be the Lord will get up with you, man. The Lord will destroy those evil and wicked women if they don't repent. Instead of talking about the sister for the things she have on, why don't you go out your way to help the sister get what she needs? If she doesn't have deodorant, hey, go help that sister and give her some deodorant. But that's the pride of man. Instead of helping her, they talk about it. Right? We're reading on verse 3. And the Lord gives an example. It says the bee is little amongst such as fly, but her fruit, right? It says the bee is little amongst such that are fly. People look down upon the bee. They say, hey, that's a bee, man. It's not as big as a wasp. Or it's not big as a bird or this kind of thing or this animal. It's not, you can't compare that a bee to a wolf. But guess what? Her fruit is the chief of sweet things. Boast not thyself of thy clothing and raiment, and exalt not thyself in the day of honor. And that's chiefly pride when you exalting yourself. For the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden. Many kings have sit down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of have won the crown. And that's why we command brothers and sisters to walk in meekness, because you don't know who you talking to, man. You never know who you dealing with back on the earth. You could be talking to Peter the apostle back on the earth. While you sitting there being prideful, not teaching your woman, you don't even know that you talking to Phoebe back on the earth. You don't even consider it. And that should show you the underdog position. That's why you have to walk in meekness. You have to know that this is not what it seems. This don't really matter anymore. This don't really matter right now. What matters is the things to come, man. Hey, I'm gonna be the first. Hey, getting 20,000 views on Facebook, that don't matter. What matters is, can you literally endure the obstacles that's set before you. And that's deep because it says, and one that was never thought of have won the crown. And the one that was never thought of are the humblest and meekest men. You have something called an underdog. An underdog is a man or a woman that everybody else looks down upon. But they don't even know that the Lord is considering the man or woman that's looking down upon. And the Lord exalts that man on top. And the biggest underdog of all time is Hamashiach wa Malak Yahushua. And they counted the Lord out. They said he's nothing. This man is not, they say he's not highly esteemed. So the biggest underdog of all time is Hamashiach wa Malak Yahushua. And last time I checked, the underdogs, they don't walk in pridefulness. They walk in humility and meekness. Now let's go to Luke. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 18. I want to get this parable in Luke the 18th chapter. Right? I want to get this parable in the book of Luke, chapter 18. This is the book of Luke, chapter 18, and verse number 9. It's a beautiful parable. Luke 18:9, it says, and he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. So you have certain men, they trusted in themselves, but yet they despised the brothers and sisters around them. It says, verse 10, 2 men went up into the temple to pray. So you had 2 men, they went up to the temple to pray. That's what men would do during the time of Yahushua. They had the temple at that time. It says the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. Now a Pharisee is an expert on the law, and a publican, for lack of better terms, is a tax collector. Verse 11, the Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I'm not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. So you have this Pharisee justifying himself. That's off. He's saying, Lord, man, he's saying, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, the water. I'm not like this wicked man that's standing next to me. Thank you, Most High, that, I'm not like these adulterers and these wicked, evil men. They don't know what's going on. They not going to make it. Hey, all praise to the Most High. I'm going to make it. Hey, that's off, man. But guess what this publican did? Reading on. It says, verse 13. And the publican, right, standing afar off, would not lift up so much his eyes into heaven. So this man, he had his head down. This man, he not even looking up. The publican, he probably like this, looking up. He probably talking to the Lord like this. And a publican, he's just, he got his face toward the earth. It says, standing afar off would not lift up so much his eyes into heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner. So you had this Pharisee being prideful. You got certain men, they do that in their prayers. And women. And you got this man, he's praying for grace and mercy. It says, be merciful to me, God be merciful to me, a sinner. Verse 14, I tell you, this man went down to his house, justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. Are you truly humbling yourself? Are you truly walking in meekness? Or are you being an evil, prideful man or woman? Let's go to Luke chapter 14. I want to get this other parable. This Luke chapter 14 and verse number 7. And that's why this Bible, man, hey, if it wasn't for these scriptures, I would be lost. Why? Because it teaches you how to move. It's not always about knowing Daniel the 12th chapter, going into Michael the archangel standing up for the prince of the nation of Israel, and going into the 1,260 days, and the 1,290 days, and 1,335 days. I mean, that's beautiful, but brother, that's not going to show you how to move. Going into Daniel the 11th chapter and the 6 Syrian wars, hey, that's not going to show you how to operate in the spirit of meekness. But what's going to show you is going through the parables of Yahushua, going through the different precepts to link it up. Now this is Luke chapter 14 and 7. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them. So you had certain men, chiefly was the Pharisees, they picking out the chiefest rooms to sit in. It says, verse 8, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a man more honorable than thou be bidden of him. And every brother and sister in this truth, you have somebody that's better than you. Now you might not know where they might be, but we here to tell you it's a man in Arkansas somewhere, in Little Rock, the town, and he's better than you. I mean, he's more on fire than you. He's more humble than you. He's more meek than you. He has more integrity than you. He's more righteous than you. You have a woman somewhere in down Atlanta, ATL, Georgia. She's just more righteous than you. So if any man go to a wedding, pick not the chiefest room, lest a man more honorable than thou be bidden of him. Because you always have somebody that's better than you. At any given moment, anybody could take your spot. Verse 9, and he bade thee and him come and say unto thee, give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room. Right? What if somebody came to you, hey, that's like going, let's say you go to we're not going to say the club, that's just off. But let's say in the world, you went to the club, or you go to a party, and, you in the VIP section. You having a good time, you in the VIP section. Then somebody tell you, and they say, hey, you right there with the shades on, come here. You say, yeah, what's going on? And he say, hey, I need you to get out. And he talking in front of everybody. Hey, I need you to get out the VIP room. We got P. Diddy in the back. Hey, he finna take your spot. And you will kind of have your head down. Or a man you never knew. You might be famous, man. You might have had a lot of money. You say, hey, we got so-and-so. We got this new dude right here. Hey, he in town. He's better than you. I'm going to need you to, go on the main floor. He's in the VIP section now. And you would kind of walk with your head down, man. If you was let's say if you was the starting five, you was the starting point guard on your team, on your basketball team. And the coach say, hey, Jamal, come here. Say, what's good, coach? Say, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to need you to get your shoes, clear your locker out. We got somebody, he's from AAU, he's going to take your spot for a little bit. Then you like, coach, what? I got to play in the game tomorrow. He's like, nah, he going to play in the game tomorrow. And you will kind of walk with your head down. Your feelings will be hurt. Reading on, it says, verse 10, but when thou art bidden and go sit down in the lowest room, that when he hath bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher, then thou shalt have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with them. But if you already abasing yourself, you humbling yourself, you're already humble. You're low. You're at the lowest estate. You're at the bottom already. How can you go any lower? The only, way for you to go is upward. But that's just the Lord telling these men and showing them a parable that chiefly always take the lowest road. Always take the humblest spot. It's not always, sometimes in the truth, you got to realize it's not always about you. It might be for the new brother and sister, coming into the shoot. It might be from the weak in the faith. It's not about you all the time. You have to always take the lowest spot. Hey, a good example, I ain't gonna lie. A good example is, it was a brother, it was me and the brother. We was at camp. It was hot. And there was only one Gatorade left. One Gatorade. Now, I could have took the Gatorade and say, you know what, this for me. Hey, I know more precept than you. I'm mightier than you. You're not getting this Gatorade. But I said, you know what? Hey, you got it. Then he said, no. You been out here. You've been out here teaching. It's for you. And I say, you know what, brother? No, it's not for me, brother. It's for you. My brothers come first. Hey, then, the Gatorade got took somehow. But that's the position you got to always play. You always have to take the lowest position and wait for the Lord to exalt you in due season. I'm going to read this, verse 11. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Now, right, and that's a beautiful chapter, Luke 14. But let's go to Sirach chapter 3. Let's go to the book of Sirach, the 3rd chapter. It's the book of Sirach chapter 3 and verse number 17. It says, my son, go on with thy business in meekness, so shalt thou be loved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. See that? The more greater you are, you might have been in the shoe for 10 years. Everything, you know how to keep the Passover like that. You know the breakdowns, the prophecies. You might know certain things. You might have a lot of experience. You might be growing more and more. But the more you grow, the greater thou art. That's the more you gotta humble yourself. The moment you reaching up there to the ceiling, that's the more you even gotta humble yourself. Why? Because for one, much knowledge puffeth up. That's 1 Corinthians 18:2. Not only that, when people they start to get exalted, that's you just asking for pride to come in. Next thing you know, pride come in, then you get brought low. So the Lord said, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. It says, many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. And we just read in 2nd Ezra, the 14th chapter, that Moses received those mysteries on Mount Sinai. And Moses was the meekest man upon the face of the earth. So the mysteries of the Lord, they're revealed unto the meek. Now let's go to Acts. Let's get examples of men that's just off and what not to be like. Let's go to Acts chapter 5. Right? Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 5 and 36. It reads, for before those days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody. So you had this man by the name of Thaddeus. He was boasting himself to be somebody. And that might be a brother in the truth. Hey, I want to be like this brother. I want to be like Yahweh Shah. I want to be like King David. But you just going off. It says, boast himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. See that? So this man, Thaddeus, he ended up getting put to death, man. Why? Because he was boasting himself to be somebody. You got to ask, so are you boasting yourself to be somebody you're not? You don't want to be like nobody else but you serving the Lord. That's it. But a lot of men, they get caught up with the glory. They get caught up with the views, the camera, the women in the truth. And they get blinded by that. Next thing you know, their heart is not perfect with the Lord. They don't have no more sincerity. That's another characteristic you got to have, is sincerity. But let's go to 3 John. Let's go to 3 John chapter 1 and verse 9. Let's go to the book of 3 John chapter 1. 3 John chapter 1 and verse number 9. It reads, I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have the preeminence among them, receiveth us not. And you got men that's like that. They want the preeminence. They want to be the top man in command. They want to rise to the top. They want it right then and now. They want the authority. Don't desire that. Be humble. You don't know. Be humble. Become as a little child. Learn first. Follow the laws. Ask the Lord to guide you in sincerity and in truth. Don't get caught up with the things of this world. And you got some called the things of this truth too. Where men, they get caught up in the views. They get caught up on how many likes they get. And they get caught up on how many wives you're supposed to have. You got certain men, they looking for 14 wives. Right? They say, okay, can I get the best looking woman in Israel? I need her. Brother, your mind is not right. Got certain men, hey, I'm finna start my own congregation. I don't need nobody else. It's just gonna be me. Well, hey, that brother, he might not make it too long. Why? Because he's not being guided. In order for you to be guided, you have to have some type of humility. You have to accept it. Hey, you don't know it all. Hey, I don't know it all, man. I'll be the first to say it. I don't know it all. If I knew it all, I wouldn't need the Lord, man. But I don't know it all. So I need to be guided in the right direction. Well, that might be a brother that knows more, that has a little bit more experience that I'm not experienced in it. So guess what? I need that guidance. But Diotrephes, he loves to have the preeminence. I thought Yahweh Shah, I thought all the preeminence goes to Yahweh Shah. I thought in Colossians 1:16, the preeminence goes all to Yahweh Shah. We got certain men, they want to be above Yahweh Shah. Right? That's off, man. Let's go to the book of let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 32. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 32. Right? 2 Chronicles, chapter 32. It reads, 2 Chronicles 32 and 26. It says, notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart. Both he and... I'm going to start at verse 25. It says, but Hezekiah rendered not again according to the benefit done unto him, for his heart was lifted up. And that might be you in some type of way, shape, or form. Your heart might be lifted up. You might not be focused on the Lord. You might be lukewarm. That's essentially pride as well. Nevertheless, Hezekiah, his heart was lifted up. And what happened? It says, therefore there was wrath upon him and upon Judah and Jerusalem. Notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart. So Hezekiah, he took the initiative to humble himself. And we charge him, brothers and sisters, if you have any type of pride on you right now, you need to repent and humble yourself in the sight of the Lord. Go on a fast. Why? Because it's better if you humble yourself than for the Lord to humble you. Because when the Lord humbles you, that's not going to be nothing nice. When the Lord exalts you low, it's not a good feeling. There's many ways that the Lord can humble a man. The Lord might have your foot get shot off and a stray bullet just hit your foot, and next thing you know, you paralyzed from the waist down. That's the Lord humble you. Why? Because you didn't take the initiative to humble yourself. It says, notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the Lord came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. So Hezekiah was a very wise man. He humbled himself. Let's go to the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 9. Let's get an example of a Lord humbling a man. Right? And sometimes you need to be humbled by the Lord, man. You need the Lord to really give you a reality check, so you can truly see how prideful that you was. This is Sirach chapter 9 and verse 1. I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, for he entered into the city called Pelapolis and went about to rob the temple. Right? So you had Antiochus. He was finna rob the temple of the Jews. It says, and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons, put them to flight. And so it happened, by Antiochus being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame. Now when he came to Ecbatana, news was brought him what had happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded his chariot man to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of God now falling him. So this man, he was coming to, he was finna kill the Jews, but he didn't even know the judgment of God was following him. And when you're prideful, man doesn't even know that you have the judgment of God right behind you. It says, for he has spoken proudly in this sort, why he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place for the Jews. And that's off. You say, I'm going to make Jerusalem, that's going to be the grave site of the Jews. That's prideful, man. And that's why I said earlier, the so-called white man, his pride is at a halt. His pride supersedes everybody else on the earth. It says, but the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with the incurable and invisible plague. For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels with remedies came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts. So the Lord smote him with down. And when you read this chapter, man, and when the Lord smote him with that disease, that wasn't that nice. What if when you talk back to your husband, the Lord just smote you with a plague? You was just talking back, you was yelling at him, damn, throwing stuff. What if the Lord just gave you the monkey virus, right? What if he just gave you that virus? Next thing you know, you got down poxes all over your arms. What if you wasn't treating your brother with respect because you was too prideful, and next thing you know, you're down. You was cracking jokes on him. Next thing you know, you just start having boils all on your damn legs. What if the Lord did that? What if one day you woke up, you say, you know what? I really don't feel like praying right now. I'm going to do it later. Then the Lord smote you in your secret parts. And this how the Lord get down, man. Or you on your way to go you broke your fast, and you on the way to go get some Jimmy John's, and the Lord just have you down, get into a horrible car accident. These are the strange calamities of the Lord. It says, and that most justly, for he had tormented other men's vows with many strange and torments. And you know, that's Esau. Verse 7, howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but was still filled with pride. And even when the Lord do smite you with something bad happens to you, man just still filled with pride. He just still won't get it. It says, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that when he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pain. And thus he that a little afore was thought he might command the waves of the sea, so proud was he beyond the condition of a man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, shewing forth unto all the manifest power of God. Said this man was so prideful, it was beyond the condition of a man. This might go down in history as one of the most prideful men of all time. Verse 9, so that worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man. What if worms just start down coming out of your stomach? Worms. This literally happened, man. It says, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. And the man that thought a little afore he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. Here therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to become to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God, his pain increasing every moment. See that? So it took for this man to leave off from his pride, for the Lord to smite him with a disease that's not common to man. You gotta ask yourself, do it have to take for the Lord to down have every member of your arm cut off for you to leave off for your pride? Do it have to take for the Lord to kill one of your children for you to leave off from your great pride? I mean, what does it have to take for you to be humble? Does it have to take you from going off and just sinning for you to realize that you're nothing? It says, verse 12, and when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words, it is meet to be subject unto God, and that a man that is mortal, and this is a Edomite, man. This is a so-called white man. And these are his words of advice. He said, it is meet to be subject unto God, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself as if he were God. See that? And this man gave up the ghost, being prideful. So that should tell you how you should be operating in the last days. Let's go to the book of Zephaniah chapter 2. Right? Let's go to the book of Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter. Right, this is the book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse number 3. Zephaniah 2 and 3. It says, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. So you have to seek righteousness, meekness, and humility. It's going to tell you why. It may be that ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. So the humblest, the meekest, the lowliest woman and man and child, they're going to be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. That's deep, man. Because you know, read Zephaniah 1 and 14. The day of the Lord is not going to be nothing nice, man. Read Amos chapter 5 and 18. The Lord said, woe to you that desire the day of the Lord. For what profit is it going to be for you? Paraphrasing it. The day of the Lord will be the most horrifying, horrific, terrible day of gloominess and darkness that man has ever seen on this earth. The only way you're going to be hid from the day of the Lord's wrath is if you're walking in meekness and righteousness. Let's go to the book. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter. So it's just showing you how you have to walk in the last days, and that nothing right now matters. It's Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 5. It says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." So a lot of men say, a lot of men think the 144,000, they're going to be the most mightiest, powerfulest men to ever walk this earth. No, the men that govern the whole earth, the men that's rulers over cities and countries that inherit the earth, they're going to be some of the most meekest men who have ever encountered. The 144,000 is not going to be a damn nigga, man. That's just prideful. No, the 144,000, that's going to be one of the most humblest and meekest men you have ever encountered. Probably got his head down. Hey, just going through the precepts. Hey, I'm just trying to follow the Most High, man. Say, I'm just trying to endure. That's going to be the man that's ruling the whole earth. Look at Moses, for example. Look at Yahushua, for example. Hey, look at Paul. Paul was humble. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 9. He said, "It is meet that I am not called an apostle, but I am the least of the apostles." And we know Paul wasn't the least of the apostles because he labored more than the apostles. Yet he said, "I am the least of the apostles." Hey, look at Simon when you read 1 Maccabees, the 13th chapter. 1 Maccabees chapter 13 and 5. Simon said, I am no better than my brother. So these are going to be the men that rule and that govern the whole earth. You have to ask yourself, are you walking in the spirit of meekness and humility? Or are you too blinded by the pride that you're in? Anytime you're not following the scriptures, you're prideful. That's playing upon tables. Anytime you're not walking according to precepts, you're prideful. Anytime we just read that pride is the beginning of sin. Every time you're in transgression, you might not know it, but you're really prideful. Because you're too prideful to actually humble down and walk into the precepts and walk into the laws, the commandments, the ordinances. You're just blinded by your pride. Let's go to the book of, let me see what I want to get. Go to the book of Mark, right? Chapter 9. Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 9 and verse 35. See what the Yahushua said. This Mark chapter 9 and 35. "And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, If any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all, and servant of all." And he took, right, that's the point. If any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all. In this life right now, we're here to tell you, you don't want to desire to be first. You don't want to desire to know it all. You don't want to desire to be the top man or the top woman in Israel. You don't want to desire to have everything now. Because the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Many are called, but few are chosen. You want to be the least. You want to be the underdog. And you want to play the underdog position. Hey, I don't want to be exalted right now. Right now, in 2022, to whenever, as long as I'm on this earth, until before the Lord come back, I don't want to be exalted. Why? Because none of that stuff matters. Right now doesn't matter. What matter is about the times to come. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. I want to bring this out in 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And then I'm going to close up through the Spirit. What matters is the second wilderness. You could be the top man right now, but when the second wilderness comes, you might not even make it to the second wilderness. Or you might be a rebel in the second wilderness and rebel against the Lord, and the Lord had to put you to death in the wilderness. You might be greatly increased right now, but thy latter end you be destroyed. Right? A wise man once said, hey, I want to be low key. Abba, you know me. Right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 42. This 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and 42. He answered me and said, this present life is not the end, where much glory doth abide. So even Ezra said this present life is not the end where much glory abide. Meaning said, Ezra said this none of this stuff matters right now. And he was during the time of the Achaemenid Empire. And Ezra even said this life, this don't really matter right now. This is not the present life where much glory doth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. And Ezra even knew that during the time that he was living, and that didn't matter. What mattered was the day of doom. What matters is the days to come. Jacob's trouble. The affliction where it has no been, where the most affliction has been, where none other day has been that much affliction. And when you read Mark the 13th chapter. So brothers and sisters, you got to keep that in mind. None of this stuff matters no more. What matters, are you going to endure into the end? And with that, giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Wamadak Yahushua. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, and study. And most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for his mercies. With that, I'm going to say Shalom.